Streaming live on YouTube. Here we go. And folks, if you're seeing the replay on LinkedIn, please know that you can always go to the Mañana No Mas YouTube page, hit, subscribe, notify, all that stuff, click the bell, and you'll get notified when I go live. I try to go live every morning, every weekday morning throughout the week. And, sometimes I hit morning, sometimes it ends up being just a little bit into the afternoon, right? Sometimes it's evening. But here we are, it's Friday. So welcome to the end of another successful week. Wow. I can't believe how fast it is going. I mean, at the beginning of the week, I jumped on here and I was like, can you believe it's June 1st already, right? Well, here we are. It's June 4th, it's Friday. And I just really wanted to bring home, just a solid week. So we've got some great work going on with our folks up in San Francisco. I've got to check in with the folks in Florida to see what's going on there. The Power Sport Academy, we're ramping up some of our sales efforts on the Power Sport Academy. So if you're in the power sports industry, specifically, if you own a motorcycle dealership or are the general manager of a motorcycle dealership, you may very well hear from me or a member of my team, because we are proactively trying to just reinforce the idea that, if we can improve communication and process in the service drive, we can positively affect a lot of the smaller to mid-sized businesses, dealerships in doing business, right? By driving revenue, customer satisfaction, reducing employee turnover, and just kind of simplifying the process, right? So running that business is huge. Folks that aren't in the power sports industry, you probably don't understand all the nuances and the ins and outs and all the things that go into successfully running a motorcycle dealership. But I will tell you that most people that own motorcycle dealerships are sales focused because they have more of a sales background or a business background, not necessarily a in the trenches service background. And what will happen is over time, they will become more dependent on sales flow rather than flow through their service department. And that's unfortunate because service is where a bulk of the profit can come from. And there's a term in the industry called saturation. And it's you want to be able to use the profits from service to basically cover the expenses of the dealership, right? And then everything that parts and sales sells over the front counter then becomes just profit, right? And there's all kinds of ways to work those numbers, but it's really, really interesting when you talk to a lot of these businesses. It's like watching The Profit with Marcus Lemonis. You'll go in and you'll talk to some businesses and they don't really have a firm understanding of where their numbers come from or how to generate those numbers or how does gross profit relate to net profit and where do those expenses go and things like that. And so part of what I bring to the table is I'm able to simplify that whole process, right? So we're able to work on communication skills, build customer rapport, work on customer relationships. Through working on customer relationships, we build demand. And then we take, that demand and we funnel that into new processes for the service department to be able to work more efficiently, which drives profit. So it's kind of a twofold plan and it works really, really, really well. Training is an expense for everybody. Some people call it an expense. Some people call it an investment. However, it's almost a liability when you look at what that return on investment would be and you choose not to do it, right? It's not that you can't afford to do the training, it's that you can't afford not to do the training. And with the supply chain broken and new inventory hard to come by, these dealerships really need to focus on, optimizing each and every service opportunity. And so that's what I try and do through the Power Sport Academy. So if you're a motorcycle dealership owner or general manager, me or someone from my team will more than likely be reaching you shortly. And I just want to let you know that that's coming, that's on its way. So on top of that, what else do we have? I don't even want to talk about it. I already know what you're asking. You're wondering if I'm going to start spouting off, right? About emails that got released and things like that. And you know what? No. The Mañana No Mas channel is about positivity, the silver lining on that cloud, finding opportunities within the obstacles, and trying to push forward by sowing seed and looking for harvest, right? And so I know that was a whole ton of cliches all at once, but that's where I want to focus, right? And folks, if you want to engage me, personally in conversation or text or email or hit the Kurt Von Onen website. You know, you can go over to Kurt Von Onen, and there's a section over there that has more of that flavorful conversation if that's what you want. But Mañana No Mas is going to focus on what's good for people's business and what brings value and how do we help people grow. So important right now. I'm watching some people that have been able to, successfully navigate this last 18, 20 months, right? I'm watching people that have, and by successfully navigating, I mean, they're not homeless, their car hasn't been repossessed, right? And they're actually kind of falling into a sense of complacency, like, oh, okay, well, I just kind of, this is working out and bills are kind of paid. And, and I want to caution you on that. Eventually, things are going to start to pop and move and groove and shake again. And you have to be in the right mindset to take advantage of these things. If you're a success-minded person, you have to be ready to engage when the opportunity arrives. And so, people might think I'm crazy, but I've gotten up early and I have done the work day after day after day after day since January of 2020. And, am I a millionaire yet? No. Sometimes do I think, wow, I can't believe I'm not a millionaire yet? Yeah, sometimes I think that, but realistically, it is do the work, sow the seed, look for opportunities, find the harvest. I'll tell you what, folks, I'm doing work for some clients now that I wasn't even looking to grow into, but I have that skill set and I had the availability and they had the need and they had the budget, right? So they're like, hey, Kurt, can you do X, Y, and Z? And then I was like, I could refer that out, or realistically, I have the time, I guess I could do it. And so I started doing it. And then a referral comes in for another job like that, right? And then I think to myself, well, now I'm buying software again. Like, am I a web guy that makes money building websites? Because I'm a membership and learning expert, right? Membership and learning site expert. So do I keep buying software and staying at the tip of how that stuff works? Or do I focus more on consulting and working with these dealerships and helping their business grow and doing the public speaking and coaching and training, right? And here's the deal. Yes. How about that? Yes. So when people ask me, well, what is Mañana No Mas, or what does Kurt Von Onen do? I don't go on about websites and public speaking and, blog posts and podcasts and all that out of the chute. No, it's simple. I'm a business consultant and I help the owners of small to medium-sized businesses increase their customer satisfaction and profit by working first on communication and then importing processes to simplify process and become more efficient, which drives profit, right? All that other stuff, those are, it's like you need to have a TV station, right? So let's say you want to have a TV station. You don't start talking about, well, I've got a comedy show and I've got the news and I've got, this home shopping thing and I've got an infomercial that comes on at 12. No, you're just like, hey, I got a TV station, right? And so you focus on the TV station, and then all of those shows are just elements of the TV station. So I encourage you, if you're watching this right now and you're an entrepreneur, especially if you've got some age on you, right? Because I'm old. So I've got a lot of experience. And so it's tempting to go, well, I do this and I do that and I do the other and I did that. And people don't want to hear you pat yourself on your back all the time, right? People need to know what you can do. So you need to find a way to communicate, I can do that, without giving everybody a resume each and every single time. It's important to note that Mañana No Mas isn't just me either, right? I have team members that I bring in for different tasks. And so, I'm not a great graphics guy. I'm not a good graphics guy at all. I mean, if I see something, I go, wow, that's really cool. But I don't have the creativity to start with a blank slate and create something that's really cool. So I bring in graphics people, right? And I have graphic people that do that. So when someone's like, oh, well, can Mañana No Mas do graphics? I don't go, well, no, because I don't. Right? It's not in the Kurt wheelhouse. No, it's absolutely, right? Absolutely, we do graphics. Why don't you talk to me about what your needs are? Talk to me what your messaging is. Primarily I'm a business consultant, so I'd like to do a needs assessment with you and figure out what you really need to bring to the table. And then, let's see how many of those boxes Mañana No Mas can tick off for you. So maybe you can do everything in-house with us. See, that's how that conversation becomes fluid. Ask questions and fill in gaps. Ask questions and fill in gaps. And sometimes you ask questions and then you ask more questions to clarify, right? And restate and all these things. So, it kind of takes me to a story. Now I sound like Russell Brunson. Kind of takes me to a story. And this isn't about a potato gun. This is about breakfast this morning. So Friday mornings, I do a mentorship breakfast with my son. I take him out. We get something to eat, coffee, hot chocolate, whatever. We go over a couple of devotionals. I've got a book here that I do. It's from John Maxwell, surprise, surprise. And it is A Leader's Heart. And so I go over the leader's heart. He goes over Streams in the Desert, which, by the way, is getting pretty dry. He's 13. He can. We're gonna find something else for him to be reading, because it's kind of hard to track that book a little bit. But anyway, take him out to breakfast. We read to each other. We talk to each other about what each other's devotional was about. What does it mean to you? How do you think other people would interpret that? Is there anything going on this week? How was your week last week? How does it feel to be out of school? Hey, we're going to work on your Honda this weekend. Maybe we'll get the the throttle tube replaced, and then those Phoenix handlebars will be rocking, right? And so there's all these things that we do on Friday mornings. Well, Hayden tells me he wants to go computer shopping, and he's interested in a very specific computer, one that I used to have that I burned up doing graphics on, right? And so, I know, track what I said 5 minutes ago, but I still work with graphics. I just don't design them from scratch. And so he's very interested in this. And I said, okay, well, how would you propose the idea that you need a new laptop to, say, a room of 15 people, right? Now, I don't know how many other parents go through these kinds of exercises, but I'm like, because I said, how are you with public speaking? He goes, oh, I know how to talk. Oh, you know how to talk. Okay. Pretend I'm 15 people and you want to convince me that you need this new laptop. You want to make this purchase. Justify to 15 people why you need to make that purchase. And he goes right into, features and benefits, right? Classic, new salesman, classic, rookie mistake, right? Don't baffle people with all kinds of facts and stats and stuff like that. You got to win them over first. And so I was like, well, dude, so I introduced the story brand to him, right? Story brand, that's the name of a book. And so I introduced story brand to him, and I said, if you were to start to talk with a story, you could take the easy way out. You could say, hey, when I was younger, my dad had this really cool razor blade stealth computer, and it did this. The keyboard lit up, and I was amazed, and it was it made an impact on me, and I've always wanted one of my own. You could tell that story. That's a cheap and easy one, right? You could do that, or you could get creative, right? And you could say, hey, there was a carpenter, and he had a favorite hammer, and everyone kept saying, how come you don't use this hammer, that hammer, the other hammer, bigger hammer, smaller hammer, fiberglass handle, wooden handle, how come you use this specific hammer? And he said, well, I use the right tool for the right job, and for me, 80% of the time, this is the right tool for the job, because it fits my hand, it fits my arm, it fits this. And and I got it from my dad, and my dad got it from his dad, and we've replaced the handle 5 times. And you could go on and on about how special having the right tool is. And he's looking at me and he's like, really? And I said, yeah. So if you were to tell a story to a room of 15 people and get them engaged and wanting to know, well, what's the solution? Like, how is this story going to affect Hayden in his quest to buy this computer? So if you can tie that together and you can communicate the story and your desire for this new computer into like a 10 or 15 minute talk, do you think that would be more influential than just spouting off, well, it's a really cool computer, it's black, the keyboards change colors, and it's got big memory, right? What do you think is more impactful, is what I was trying to teach them. And leadership is all about influence, nothing more, nothing less. Just ask John Maxwell. So it was a great exercise. It was a great moment in time. It really was. And then I feel like I want to recap this. Mañana made a donation yesterday to a shop. We were able to buy a tire machine, and Hayden was actually part of that run too. We went to the auction house. Everybody was super friendly. Everybody was great. They used the forklift. They put the thing in the back of the truck for us. We got the thing up to the shop and got that thing unloaded. That was a beast. It was a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be, but we got it plugged in the air, cleaned it up, and I'll be danged if it didn't work like a charm right out of the chute. And did I pay more for it than I wanted to? Yeah. But everything seems to be bidding at near retail lately. And I wanted this tire machine to go to this shop because every time I'm at this shop yeah, they do like a community bike building thing on Wednesday nights. And people are always trying to mount tires up there, and they do it on a manual tire stand with tire irons and scratching the wheels and ripping tubes and just all kinds of stuff. And I thought, man, if we had a tire machine up here, that would be awesome. And so Mañana got very fortunate. We had a customer that was generous in paying us early. And I thought, well, we've got some positive cash flow. We've got this opportunity at the auction. Let's seize it. Let's see if we win it. And we did win it. And we delivered it yesterday and plugged it in. And I tell you what, it just makes my heart bounce to know that, the next time that there's someone up there working on their bike and they want to put a tire on, it's as simple as plugging in the airline and going, right? Instead of fighting for 45 minutes with tire irons and getting 3 or 4 people around to hold the tire down in the wheel, right? To make sure that you can get it over the lip. And so I'm super stoked. That was awesome. So lots of cool things going on this week, right? So working with other organizations, bringing in extra people for our team, contacting more dealers for the Power Sport Academy, the work that Mañana is doing for website development and software development. And then, of course, on the back end is the Challenge Connection, which we are really hopeful that people will start using to host their online challenges. That's a little more organized and a little more advantageous for the user, for the environment, over using like a Facebook page, right? So if you're familiar with how online courses work, it's a very similar structure in that you're able to parse out the activities and keep them all segregated so it doesn't become all one big jarbled mess. Everything stays in its own spot. So if you're running a challenge with lots of people, this seems to be the key. The challenges that have more people are usually more successful in how this works. But if you've got a lot of people and you're trying to keep a lot of information straight about different days of activity, this product does a really good job of keeping the activities separate along with all the interactions for those activities so that everything doesn't get all jarbled up. You don't lose where you're at. So folks, that's it in a nutshell. It's Friday. Have a great weekend. I may have talked a little bit longer than I expected to this morning, but man, it's just been such a good week. There's times where you're like, oh, I'm just not getting anything done. It doesn't feel right. And then you take stock of it, like I tell you guys to do in the training in the academy, right? Take those snapshots, look at those milestones, celebrate the wins along the way, because you are doing more and you are advancing more than you give yourself recognition. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday.